Math Lesson 8. Let's take a look at question 2. See if we can do some more division multiplication. Grapes are on sale for $1.60 per pound. If Rosie paid $1.92 for her grapes, how many pounds of grapes did she buy? Well, clearly she bought more than 1 pound because they're $1.60. If she bought exactly a pound, then her total sale would be $1.60. However, she paid a little bit more than that, so we know our number is going to be somewhat greater than, get my pencil here, the answer is going to be greater than 1. So it's good to know that. So if we get some kind of an answer that is really strange, well, we want to take another look at how we did our arithmetic. So the other thing is, it's going to be greater than 1. How much greater than 1? Well, $1.60 per pound. She paid $1.92. So it's going to be greater than 1, but not greater than 2. Because if it was 2 pounds, it would be this $1.60 times 2, which would be like $3.20. But because it's not that. So that just gives us an idea. It's very important when you're looking at these problems that your answer makes sense. Especially in the world of business, in the world of ag business. You just got to be careful. Numbers are really critical. We're talking about a lot of money. Especially if we were talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here. When it comes to the world of business or farming, there's a lot of money involved. And so making what might seem like a little mistake can add up to a lot of money. So math is just critical to understand this. And so with that preliminary information there, we know that our answer is going to be greater than 1, but it's going to be greater than 1 pound, but less than 2 pounds. So here we go, less than 2 pounds. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, let's look at the relationship here. We know that from what we're given is that $1.60 times some number of pounds, we're not sure how many, put a little question mark there, equals the total sale here of $1.92. So this $1.60 times some number of pounds equals $1.92, and that's what we need to find out. So we got multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So how about if we take this and divide it into this $1.92? And that should tell us then how many pounds we actually bought. So let's do some long division here. If we were to write this out, our divisor is going to be this $1.60. And the dividend we're going to divide into is our total sale of $1.92. So now we have a division problem with decimals, which is awkward. So we're going to clean this up. And so what we can do to maintain the equivalent relationship between these values here is that, let's go ahead and just mentally say we're going to multiply times 100, move this decimal place over 2 places. So we get rid of that decimal and we just end up with 160 and divide it into. And as long as we do the same thing over here, if I multiply times 100, it's the equivalent of moving that decimal place 2 places to the right. And so then we end up with divided into 192, which looks a lot better. And then we know mentally that that decimal is now there, and if we want, we could just go ahead and move that up there because we're pretty sure we're not going to have a whole number here. We're going to have our number is going to be in the form of a decimal. The answer is, because we determined this greater than 1 but less than 2. All right, so 160 times some number, 160 into 192, 160 times some number equals 192. How many times can 160 go into this? Well, only 1 time. So we'll put our 1 there. 160 times 1 is 160, a little sloppy. Let's do some subtraction. 2 minus 0 is 2. 9 minus 6 is 3. And 1 minus 1 is 0, so we don't need to put that. Now, I suppose we could look at this and say, well, forget about the decimal here, and we could just say our answer is 1 with a remainder of 32, because 160 will not go into 32. And so you may have spent some time doing that perhaps in your earlier schooling, you put the answer is 1 with an R of 32, remainder 32. Yeah, we're not going to do that because this is business math, ag business. So this is not incorrect, but we want to get a specific answer because our question says how many pounds of grapes. And so nobody in business would say, well, the number of pounds she bought was 1 pound with a remainder of 32. It just doesn't sound correct. We want to talk like business people here. So what can we do here? What we can do is this. Remember, we have that like decimal place here. What if we add a 0 here and we bring this 0 down? Because now we have 160 divided into 320. That we can do. The other thing we can do here to simplify this is because we have a 0 here and a 0 here, we could just drop those zeros. But before we do that, 160 into 320, about how many times do you think? It'll go in 1 time. Could it go 2 times? Well, if we want to do that, we could just go, okay, 160 times 2. Let's find out. 0, 6 times 2 is 12. Carry that 1, 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3. It does go in evenly, it goes in 2 times. But if we did want to make it even easier, we could say, okay, I'm going to drop that 0, I'm going to drop that. And then we would have 16 going into 32, which is a lot easier to mentally estimate as, oh, that's going to be 2 times. So let's go ahead and put that there. 2 times. 16 times 2. 32, nothing left over, and so then our answer is going to be 1.2 pounds. Look at that. So 1.2 times 160 would give us that 192. Or go back to the original 1.60 times, here was that question we had, how many pounds? Now we're saying it's 1.2 would equal $1.92. I want to remember that's money there. $1.60 times 1.2 pounds equals 192. If we want to check that, well, we could do that without a calculator by taking 1.6 times 1.2, and we could do this multiplication. 0 times 6 is 0, 0 times 1 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1, 2 times 1 is 2, is 3, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1. Put a line under all that and then bring everything down. 0, 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 0 plus 0 is 2. 6 plus 3 is 9. And 1 plus 0 is 1. How many decimal places do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there it is. 1.92. So we've confirmed that this then is correct. I'm having too much fun with this pencil. That will conclude question 2, math lesson number 8.